right. Gavin McInnes was going to be on in the next hour, and Rappaport was going to be on now, but Rappaport has been nice enough to flip with us because of scheduling issues, and I know how those are. I had to cancel a lot of interviews earlier in the week because my grandmother died Saturday. But Gavin McInnes, the big TV star, movie star, founder of Vice, a bunch of videos of people trying to beat him up at their events and getting beaten up. I love it. They hit him in the back of the head, and the pro-America people, the real liberals, the libertarians, grab them and then beat them up. And they're like, how dare you attack me and hit back? So I wanted to get him on now 3 weeks into the Trump presidency. I mean, literally, I'm just watching Trump. He's like, I hugged the Japanese prime minister. We hugged in the tower together. We love each other. And we're going to have a big defense pack against China. And the Japanese president's getting all excited. I mean, with Trump, he's so real, people just don't even know what to do anymore. The golden toad. But meanwhile, they're organizing, attacking people at colleges, fight clubs, you name it. This is a crazy, crazy, crazy time to be alive. We're going to go to that Trump clip coming up where he talked about that in a few minutes. But Gavin McInnes joins us again. Paul Watson shot a video that's up on Infowars.com. I'm going to air later if we have time. It's conservatism is a new counterculture. And, of course, he really calls it cultural libertarianism. But it's true. I mean, Paul Watson literally is getting like 15, 20, 30 million views a week just on Facebook and YouTube. In many ways, he's outstripped me. I mean, we're huge on talk radio and reach tens of millions, you know, every day or so. We have our staple audience. But I love seeing Paul. And I love seeing Gavin McInnes. And I love seeing Milo just rock star level. When I went to a school event the other day for my son and my daughter, doing their speech class, and the whole school was there, or auditorium, I got mobbed by young people, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, because those were the grades that were having their speeches. But they just were mobbing me because they wanted to know about Paul Watson and Gavin McInnes and Milo. But it was like Paul Watson and Gavin McInnes. So let me tell you, man, that's what's got to scare them, because Paul Watson has said it, and I want your take on this. Do we not have Generation X in the classrooms being told they're evil white males? But it's not just the white kids. It's the Hispanic kids. It's the Asian kids. The black kids. Everybody is sick of this crap. As children, they inherently know they haven't done anything, and their parents haven't either. They were brought up liberal, and they're sick of hearing they're bad, and they understand the man and the brainwashing when they see it, Gavin.
Well, they made a fatal mistake. You see, their narrative doesn't have truth on its side, and it may have worked if back in the Dewey Decimal System days, when you had to go to the library to look up whether what your teacher was saying is true or not. But they did it in the information age. They did it when we could just Google it, and we hear white men are evil, Western society sucks, America's a racist hellhole, and they just go to YouTube, they go to Google, they look it up, and they go, wait a minute, everything my teacher's saying is a lie. And when reality isn't on your side, when your narrative is the opposite of the truth, you should shy away from any information. Like we're noticing this with cops and body cams. They said, we need cops to be responsible. We want body cams. The cops said, sure. And now we're seeing these kids are pointing guns at them before they get shot. Oops.
Wow. We've only got like 20 minutes with you. Where to start? I mean, what do you make of Trump's first 3 weeks? I mean, your top points.
Well, here's what you talked about, a bunch of different things, and I think they all do convalesce. Is that the word?
That's right.
Where we have the mainstream media is done, right? Fox News, ABC, they're all watched by 70-year-olds who aren't invested in society. You also have our side just ended up being the cool, fun side. Like when I did my talk at NYU last week and got pepper sprayed, I'm looking at the guys we're with, and they're a hell of a lot more diverse, especially when you include class, than these Antifa kids. The Antifa kids are all living with their parents. 92% live with their parents. They're all sons of professors. They're all rich white squares. And the second we started punching back, they started screaming for police. And I got to say, I've been in a few fights, but there's nothing funner than fighting these so-called anti-fascists.
Well, I watched the video. They run up and punch you and others in the back of the head, and then you just grab them and start beating the daylights out of them. They start squealing for mommy.
Well, the NYU wouldn't let my guys in. They locked the doors. So my guys were stuck with the mob, and they went, okay, and just started boom, 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 plowing through them. Two of our guys went to jail for defending themselves. They'll get out soon enough. I mean, they did get out, but the court date won't matter. I think it'll just be a violation. But it was It was really fun. One of my guys said he started to feel bad because they were clearly never been in a fight before, and he was just pounding them in the face, feeling guilty. You know, like in World War II with the Russians, they just used so much human fodder that I think the Germans started to feel bad about killing all these Russians. That's what it was like fighting these guys. It was just, oh, my fists are starting to hurt.
Well, I got to tell you, it's incredible, though. But in a way, the fact that they're getting in the street down to their mother's basements, as you said, 90% live with their parents. Most of them are virgins. They never date. They're really scared of the world. It's kind of good they're coming out and getting their ass kicked and starting to fight. So I'm sure you saw the articles all over the country. They're training now to fight us and attack us. You know, as if 25 years of fighting that I've had till I stopped fighting, and, you know, the court cases and the people in comas and all the rest of it teaching me not to do it anymore, even if they start to fight. I mean, it's like you don't have 25 years, guys. You're not going to get trained to fight even in a month.
Well, it's also the lack of courage. They don't have the courage of their convictions, so they can't have courage in a street fight. I mean, there's two types of fights, right? There's the fight in the pub when someone spills your pint and your heart's not really in it. Someone slaps your mother, you want to eat their face.
Exactly. There's kind of a drunken, you're being a jerk, had a bad day. You kind of, you know, hit you a few times. You're both idiots. But then somebody does something to your mother, you can like pick cars up.
Yes, like deplorable. They go there and these anarchists show up and they walk in front of me. I've got all these women behind me. We're in a sort of a Spartan phalanx fighting them. And the fact that this kid, this little fake anarchist, was trying to stop me from going to a ball and attacking the women behind me and threatening their children, that was just, I had the agency now. I had the background, the rage, and it was just so easy to plow him. Meanwhile, they're just dressing up. Yeah, that's the fight. They're just dressing up for Halloween. That's why they don't want to debate. They don't really believe any of this stuff. And that's why their hearts aren't in the fight.
Yeah,
that's
they don't know what to do when you start punching them upside the head. And that's the crazy part about this is when you hit them back, they start squealing and begging and calling the police. Don't they understand? They just punched you. Another thing, I'm sorry to say it. I don't care if it was black, white, Hispanic folks. As you said, very diverse crowd at Deplorable, other places. The libertarian conservatives are a good-looking crowd. The other side look like they got hit with a mutation ray.
Well, what's really been going on for the past quarter century is conservatives have been wimps. I remember when Rush Limbaugh called Sandra Fluck a slut. I heard all these Republicans and conservatives going, oh, no, I'm not backing that. He took the low road.
She is a slut. She wants us to pay for her lube and condoms. Pay for them yourself.
Exactly. It's a dictionary definition of a slut. And I said, no, we're not doing any of this high road crap anymore. When someone punches us, we punch back twice as hard. We're the new Malcolm X's. We're the new by any means necessary. And they don't have the gumption to take us on. And it feels so liberating to finally say, no, we're not going to be polite anymore. We're not going to be nice because you're a liar and you're trying to restrict my freedoms.
And they dehumanize us by screaming, racist, KKK, go away. That's all they've got, and none of their people will even talk to you. They always just are controlled by these weird leaders. Then you find out it's Islamicist, funded by Soros, that ran the Women's March in D.C. I was there, and they were handing out hijabs to all the women, plastic hijabs. And what is this where the feminists are chanting Allah Akbar and saying we want Sharia? What type of weird mass Stockholm Syndrome cuckolding is that?
I mean, if I heard you out of context and I was away on vacation, I would say, well, that can't be right. But everything you just said is literally true. She got out there and she said, Assalamu alaikum. This is Linda Sarsour. She's pro-Sharia law. In Sharia courts, a woman's vote is worth half a man's vote. In Sharia law, you can beat your wife. In Sharia law, there's no such thing as marriage rape. You can't rape during a marriage. It just doesn't exist. And she's pushing for this. It was a pro-choice march. Muslims are pro-life. And then they have that woman, Donna Hilton, comes out. She murdered a man by sodomizing him to death. And she's sitting up there on a podium talking about LGBT violence and how we have to come together and stop Trump. And I'm thinking, how about we have to come together and stop sodomizing men to death, you lunatic?
That's right. Kidnapped him, sodomized him to death. And then meanwhile, they're calling how we hate gay people when they're the ones with the Muslims that kill gays.
I mean, I get accused. I said, look, trannies are not women. They're just mentally ill gays. That became, you are advocating violence against trans people. What? I don't care enough about trans people to advocate violence. And I go, if you're looking for someone who advocates violence against gays and trans, go check out Islam. Go see how well they do in Turkey, where they just burnt a man alive, burnt him to death and dismembered him because he was dressed as a woman.
I can show you hours of footage all over the Middle East of them lining up gay men they catch and throwing them off buildings.
And why? And then you go, well, wait a minute. Why are you choosing them as bedfellows when they personify everything you hate? And that's when you realize, oh, you're not in it for justice. You're not in it for equality. You're in it for sabotage. And these Muslims, these radical extremists, seem to be the best at sabotage.
Well, that's it. They just hate the West. They feel like losers. It's exponential envy. They feel like they don't have a piece of the pie because they grew up in basements. Nothing against that, but, you're supposed to get out of them by the time you're 14. And, we've all sat there eating Hot Pockets in a basement at one time or not, playing games. But they just are mad at the party, like the Wicked Witch is mad at the ball she's not invited to.
Yeah, when I saw Milo in that giant tub of pig's blood wearing a MAGA hat, and he had pictures of all the different victims of illegal aliens on his wall, murder victims. And I just thought, man, the liberals and the left and Antifa and the communists, they must be so bummed. They must be so bummed to discover that they're the church ladies. They're the ones saying, isn't that special? And they're the ones that are all white and all rich and telling everyone they can't have sex and they can't say this and they can't say that. They've become the uptight squares that they thought they were fighting against. And we're the ones having a ball, fighting, having art shows, going to meetings where we get wasted and walk around with Mad Dog Mattis signs, having a vigil in Times Square for all the people we lost who died of winning. It's just been party after party after party since November 10th, and they've just been losing after losing after losing.
You're right. You're right. Well, I got to tell you, I'm very positive, as you are, about things, but I'm also really concerned. What about the judiciary? A clear law, something other presidents have done, and they're now saying they're the commander-in-chief, and the media all celebrating. And I think they've walked into Trump's trap because the Supreme Court's going to, obviously once he gets the new court in there, the new member, rule against them. They'll have the 5-4. But I think they've really been set up by Trump. But still, don't they know when there's more terror attacks now, they're going to own it?
It is bizarre, but the thing I'm learning about Trump is he's always 4 chess moves ahead. Like when he said with the birth certificate, he said, I'll offer money for anyone who can show me a fake birth certificate. Boom, that was the end of that thing. Or when he said, the press isn't reporting on all this Muslim terror. So then the press goes out there and starts listing, no, we did report on this. We did report on this bombing. We did report on this acid attack. Next thing you know, all the press is doing is talking about Muslim terror. And that ends up justifying his travel ban. So every time you think he's made a move that seems like a blunder, you wait a couple weeks, as Steve Bannon told the press to do, just shut up and listen, and you see, Jesus, that was brilliant. You were 4 steps ahead of everyone. So this, what seems like a loss right now, I think if we just give it some time, we'll see he's going to turn it into yet another win.
Gavin McInnes is our guest. People keep asking me, Alex, how do you predict what Trump's going to do before he does it? Because I've watched what he does. I've gotten into the mind frame. Plus, we're both Americana. We're all Americana. We're looking at the same journey. We're driving down the same road together. We're not telling each other what to think or do. We're seeing as on its face prima facie. And that's why I'm saying very good chance Reince Priebus within 3 weeks will be gone because he's clearly the leaker. He's clearly the one that continues to basically undermine the president and say that the president's like a lost child in the White House. All these leaks, and Trump's really upset about it. I know for a fact. Is looking for a new chief of staff. I'm just going to stop right there. Monday, we're going to have the big story for everybody. So the good news is he's going to purge a lot of these people. The problem is, have you seen the State Department doubling the amount of refugees? That's supposedly Trump's State Department. They're now in revolt against their boss, saying they're going to open the border up even more. This is crazy.
Well, we knew draining the swamp wasn't going to be easy. We knew it wouldn't happen overnight. And there's obviously going to be people that are furious. I mean, remember when Maggie Thatcher came in and she just started chopping federal government jobs. She started chopping bureaucrats' jobs. And everyone hated her because unemployment was going up. But unemployment was going up because she was getting rid of losers and privatizing all of Britain, creating a middle class for the first time in British history. So, yeah, it's going to be a rocky beginning. But God, there's still so much winning. And isn't it fun? I mean, I was pretty young when Reagan was president, but I don't remember a presidency ever being so fun.
Wow. Tell me about your view with the whole Hollywood bullying people and like I mentioned, Katy Perry coming out and saying let's organize physical attacks. It seems like Hollywood itself is even financially going bankrupt now. Communist China's coming in to buy it up. Where do you see Hollywood going?
They have to comply to the free market. I mean, we saw American Sniper. Didn't it gross more more money than all the other contestants for Academy Awards that year combined? So the free market wants guns. It wants Americana. It wants national pride.
Look at Ghostbusters. Milo got banned for saying, I don't want to see a movie with a bunch of ugly chicks. And then they banned him for saying he doesn't like public figures. And then now that might bankrupt Sony. The movie lost so much money.
Look, these people are court jesters. They're here to dance around for us and make us giggle. So if the king, which is the free market, tells you to stop dancing that way and go dance over there, they will comply. I mean, look at Amy Schumer bitching about guns. And then in her movie right now, she's got her gun out, shooting it everywhere. Matt Damon is the same way. Guns are evil, and he's got a gun. Jim Carrey pretending he hates guns, and he's shooting guns in Kick-Ass 2 or 3 or whatever it is. They have to comply to the market because they have to pay for their divorce. They have to pay for their mortgage. And they're just posturing. This is the beauty of their side right now. It's all posturing. So it's like going to a Halloween party and going up to someone dressed as a pirate and saying, you want a sword fight? And you bring out a real sword and they go, no, 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 this is just plastic. Here, I'll take it all off right now. It's getting rid of it.
Let's talk about what happens next and how Trump defeats his biggest enemy, the GOP establishment, those wimp conservatives you talked about that have been sabotaging the movement forever. How do we deal with them straight ahead, the folks trying to block the tax cut? We got Gavin with us 5 minutes the next hour. Then John Rappaport's joining us about the brainwashing at campuses, the actual documents. But I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it was the Super Bowl with the Patriots being Trump's team, and they win from a come-behind, which they've done many times. It was all over the news. This is racial. Even mainstream media said people see white supremacism because part of the team's white. And then they basically said, yeah, a meme started saying the Russians did it. But we joke about that. They're all over the place saying everybody's a Russian agent. The nationalist movement in Spain is Russian. The nationalist movement in Germany is Russian. Again, in France, it's Russian. At some point, this has to run out of gas, but the Republican leadership goes along with it and keeps playing along with this. I mean, I've read in hundreds of newspapers where I'm supposedly a Russian agent. Now, I laugh at it, but it's not funny because some people still believe it. And I think our biggest problem is not against old people, but you know what I mean, the old mummy Republicans that are all part of the establishment. We need rock star, cool libertarian Republicans that are in there having a great time like Trump. But I see people still running from Trump when he's obviously the manifestation of the new wave of total victory, a total pole shift, a seismic shift. I mean, who is the biggest enemy in us, completing our journey towards an absolutely open rock and roll society, Gavin?
Well, the left clearly is the ones that are stopping us. And I think we also are our own worst enemy because of this ethnomasochism. White people, Americans, Westerners, we're the only culture that hates ourselves. You know, you don't have Japan kvetching about the horrible things they did to the Ainu when they were creating Japan. We don't hear Mexicans bitching about the horrible things they do to Guatemalan immigrants and immigrants from Panama. But for some reason, we just seem to thrive on self-hatred. And it's...
Well, I'm a Christian, but isn't that a twisted form of Christianity? You know, to kind of beat yourself and just feel guilty. And you know, it's like being obsessed with, sexual repression of the kind of Elizabethan garbage.
That's the million-dollar question, the chicken or the egg. Did Christianity thrive because there's something genetically about us where we like self-flagellation, we like crucifying ourselves, or did it come from Christianity? I don't know. All I know is that its time has come, because I never thought of myself as a white guy or a particularly Western male before I was told that I ruined the world. And then I went over to my computer and I looked up and I go, it says here that we didn't start slavery, we ended it. And then I start to realize cement, electricity, infrastructure, roads, water, we're kind of great guys. You're wrong. And the irony, too, is we're the best for all these other people that are telling us we suck.
But here's the deal. I'm not being politically correct. It's true. It's a bunch of white people telling us we're bad who just want control and know that we're all into guilt.
Yeah, look at this show, Dear White People, that Netflix is putting out. It was written by white people, and it's got this incredibly patronizing tone. Like, imagine your babysitter was talking to you like she's God, and you just go, what the hell? Are you drunk? The way she talks, she says, here's the costumes you can wear.
I'll tell you what, Gavin, we're back in 1 minute. I want to come back and play that and get your final take on that and then get into the whole Super Bowl thing more. But again, folks, it's the best website is compoundmedia.com. Follow him at Gavin_McInnes on Twitter as well. We're going to go to break here in just one moment. Before I go any further, we fund ourselves not so much with sponsorships. The local stations do, and, of course, the network does. But I fund the InfoWars News Center here in Austin, Texas, selling toothpaste. That's right. Right now, toothpaste is funding this operation that's changing the world. It's got iodine. It's got colloidal silver. It's made by the biggest manufacturer in the country that makes GMO, organic, fluoride-free toothpaste. This is our proprietary private label, but with added ingredients produced by the biggest company in the United States that puts out organic products. We can't say because it's private label. That's how those contracts work, but it's got 5-star reviews. It's a game changer. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. And the more you fund us, the more you know we will grow in the face of the globalists and stomp them into the dirt. Stay with us. Spread the link. They're censoring us. Infowars.com and also spread compoundmedia.com. Gavin McInnes, 5 more minutes straight ahead.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And Gavin McInnes. So here is the new Netflix series, Dear White People. This isn't as condescending as the MTV deal that was similar, saying whites are inherently evil. Only they can be racist. They are scum. And you're like, is this a joke, trying to turn whites into racist? I think there's some of that, too. It's just all balkanization, folks. We should really say no to it. But here's what Gavin was bringing up.
Pirate, slutty nurse, any of our first 43 presidents. Top of the list of unacceptable costumes? Me.
Dear white people, and again, I mean, Gavin, it's the condescension. Do these people realize everything they're doing is blowing up in their face? Or is it just that old, weird, mentally ill hippies who are worth hundreds of millions in Hollywood are so guilt-driven that they don't even know what they're doing, so they're doubling down on what they already did that blew them up?
I don't know. I mean, my theory is that a lot of these TV execs are divorced women with an axe to grind. They're divorced liberal Democrats, and they don't like men. They hate white men because it reminds them of their ex-husband, and they're just out for revenge. It's not, the free market doesn't want that show. I mean, look at the number of dislikes that trailer has on YouTube. It's something like 30,000 to 2,000 likes. It's probably the most rejected video in the history of YouTube trailers, and it's because it doesn't make sense. I mean, you're going to come to a party because you found the costumes offensive and you're going to destroy all our PA system? What's that, $1,500 you just destroyed because you've decided...
As if white people are really having blackface parties. I mean, I've never... I grew up in the South, never heard of such a thing.
It's probably happened 6 times in the past 10 years. But every time you see it, it gets blown up. It's all over the news. And the next thing you know, they're pretending that it's a trend.
And how do we know it isn't leftists doing false flags? They're always getting caught putting crosses in the yard or swastikas on the Jewish dorm. I mean, what, 900 times out of one? I mean, it's staged.
And here's the other crazy thing no one would ever bring up. Blackface isn't offensive. It's just a given that it's offensive because it's related to Jim Crow. But if you go back and you look the way they did it in the 1800s, 20% of the time they were insulting, but the other 80%, it was somewhat reverent. It was just like a man dressing up as a woman in a play. And then in Europe, we've got Black Pete, and we've had the black and white minstrel show in Britain right up until the 80s. These people, all they know is the taboos. And
taking offense. And it's worse than you say. 275,000 plus dislikes.
Yeah, I was 10 times off. I was saying it was a tenth of that. But here's the deal. If you're offended, it's beholden upon you to justify why you're offended and explain it to the rest of us.
By the way, you weren't wrong, though. You looked at it a few days ago. Now it's 10 times that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it'll be 10 times that soon, too. I don't see this show airing. I mean, the vitriol behind it, because I think Americans are sick of this.
That's my next question. When do they figure out everything they're doing is making it worse for them?
That's a good question, because they just got Trump reelected. All these Antifa dudes in Berkeley and the guys pepper spraying me and the guys going up and grabbing MAGA hats and punching Nazis in the face, as they put it, just gets him reelected because we realized these spoiled brats are out of control. Rolling a garbage into the street because you hate capitalism says to the rest of America, re-elect Trump. And I mean, I'll eat my hat. I'll eat my MAGA hat if he doesn't win in 2020.
Sure. Well, unless they kill him. But you know, I'm seeing mega massive amounts of, quote, minorities blowing up and saying, we're sick of all this race crap. We just want prosperity. Stop it.
I mean, what was Obama? It was 8 years of, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. Here's your side of the argument. Go nuts. And then we look after 8 years, the economies that had brutal recovery, worst recovery ever. We see way more racism. I mean, talking about white supremacy and Nazis, it sounds like it's 1945 again. He sent us back half a century.
Well, he's on every day. It's, of course, the website compoundmedia.com. Gavin McInnes. I'm Alex Jones. Gavin, thanks for joining us. And my kids say hi. You know, the 12 and 14-year-olds love you, but adults love you too. I just love the work you're doing. God bless you. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Big guest coming up. Stay with us.